Michael, it's always so good to have you on the show. Let's talk about this defense by Donald Trump. First witness, Don Jr., tomorrow morning. Judge Engoron already making findings of fraud. So is Don Jr. testifying because Trump wants him to, and lawyers like Alina Habba and Chris Kise are too scared or too incompetent to tell Donald Trump no?
I mean, I think you just nailed it right on the head there, Katie. It makes no sense to me. What's the strategy here that they're trying to employ? First and foremost, as you appropriately and accurately stated, the issue of liability has already been decided. This is specifically a case on disgorgement. How much? Well, in Don Jr.'s own words, when they asked him what role did he play, his comment was that he was merely a broker. I'm not even sure what that means. Is he referring to a real estate broker? Was he a deal broker? I don't even think Don Jr. knows what he's saying. In essence, he lied. He perjured himself under oath before Judge Engoron. Now, Eric, who I understand is going to be testifying as well, he just stated that all he does at the company is pour concrete. Clearly another lie and more perjury. What I don't understand is the strategy, but I will tell you what it does show you. Donald himself has to know that this is a stupid strategy, and it's only a strategy that benefits him. For whatever reason, and I don't know the answer, it can only benefit Donald, which is interesting because as a parent, you would think that his goal would be to protect his children. Instead, what he's doing is he's putting them in the line of fire. They're all perjury traps because none of them, including Ivanka, who has no idea what's going on anywhere. I mean, they keep talking about Joe Biden's cognition. She's the only one who seems to have forgotten things 30 times. So Donald is using his children to benefit himself. I don't understand the strategy.
And, you know, Michael, kind of keeping on that vein of Trump using others to benefit himself, even his own children. Yeah. I found something kind of interesting that happened with Judge Engoron. He said in open court that Trump speaks in code. And that is something, Michael, that you have been saying time and time again over the years. And so do you think that that means that Judge Engoron also thinks that Donald Trump operates like a mob boss?
Well, here's what we know for a fact. One, he has no email address and never had an email address. I'm referring to when he was at the Trump Organization. He also doesn't text, and basically all of his notes are relatively cryptic, except for when he's talking to you. Then it's exactly like a mob boss. It's cryptic, like what he had said to me, which I testified on the stand, which is, you know, Michael, I'm not worth $5.5 billion. Well, he said it to me and to Alan Weisselberg. I'm not worth $5.5 billion. In fact, I'm probably worth 6. You know what? It's more like 7, maybe even 8. You guys go back, figure it out, and come see me. Now, is that specifically telling me and Alan Weisselberg to go back and to change numbers? Well, no, specifically, it's not. It's not explicit, but because we were around him for so long, we understood the code. Alan and I implicitly knew exactly what he wanted, and that's exactly what he got.
So there's an old, tired page in the Trump playbook, which is blame everybody else, which we just talked about, but there's also this plug and play that can happen. And you recently discovered a handwritten note written by Donald Trump. And we're going to put it up on the screen for our viewers. It basically shows, Michael, that you can plug in somebody else's name and that person ends up being the bad guy. So you can take Obama, which is on the note that we see on the screen right now. You can put Biden in, you can put Comey in, you can put, you know, anybody else's name in, including Michael Cohen's name, right? But it shows it's the same repetitive attacks that are made by Donald Trump. So what does that tell you then, Michael, about the nature of the Donald Trump defense over and over and over again over the years?
He's the victim all the time. He's always using somebody else as the reason why he's in these troubles. Always the victim. It's always somebody else's fault. You know, I had said when I was testifying before the House Oversight Committee, and I don't want people to lose track, that was only one hearing out of 7 that I gave testimony to. that Donald always plays the victim. It's always somebody else's fault, and he's never to blame for anything. In fact, none of us have seen over the 4-year period when he was president take accountability for anything. This playbook is easy to understand if you look at Donald's history, plain and simple.
Riddle me this, though. Make it make sense, right? How does somebody who's just the victim all the time, like Donald Trump, yet simultaneously wants to claim that he's such a brilliant and seasoned, accomplished businessman and entrepreneur? I mean, how does he have time to be so accomplished and to do so well if he's always being victimized?
Yeah, that's only an answer maybe Einstein can figure out, like the theory of relativity. I think that goes well beyond my understanding. He's always the victim. But not only is he always the victim, he's also the most successful at everything that he does. And I think we've all seen, whether it's the Trump mortgage, whether it's Trump steak, Trump vodka, Trump casinos, Trump University, you can go on and on. He's not the success that he wants to portray himself as.